Well, last Wednesday, the UK government announced it had granted 24 new licences for companies to look for oil and gas in the North Sea. The news was greeted with derision by the Scottish government, who accused them of damaging the just transition. That, of course, is the move away from fossil fuels towards renewables. But the UK's Energy Minister, Graham Stewart, insisted it was common sense to make the most of our own resources. Then on Thursday, the greener economy was dealt another blow when Labour appeared to move away from a long-standing promise to spend £28 billion a year on green investment if they get into power. Well, I am joined now from Inverness by the SNP's Westminster economy spokesperson, Drew Hendry. Good morning. Can you hear me, Drew Hendry?
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Good stuff. Good morning.
Yeah.
I was just saying good morning to you before we get underway. Listen, actually, talking to that, before we get underway with the energy stuff, I just must ask you, I've got the papers spread out in front of me. A lot of talk about the culture of government in the COVID inquiry last week. A couple of papers picking that up. There's talk of a culture of secrecy and cover-up, that theme going on. Sunday Times have got a civil service whistleblower saying there's an institutional paranoia of secrecy in the Scottish government. I know you're not a member of the Scottish government, but you are a member of the party of government. Not terribly good times in terms of public opinion, this, is it?
Well, I think the fact is that Scotland is the most scrutinised nation of the UK. We're holding our own inquiry, the only nation in the UK that's doing that. And indeed, we've got the most transparent freedom of information laws in the UK. So, you know, I think it's absolutely fair to scrutinise this. We need to learn lessons from COVID so that we can react better into the future. And I'm sure that the same scrutiny will be applied to Boris Johnson and to Rishi Sunak in England is being applied to here in the fullness of time.
Are you sure, or are you suggesting in a roundabout way that it isn't being applied?
No, I'm saying that if that's, if the scrutiny that's applied in Scotland is applied in the rest of the UK, particularly with the UK government, then we'll probably learn a lot more than we are at the moment about how to deal with this into the future. Because as your previous item covered, it's important not only to learn lessons about the disease itself and how it develops into the future, but also how we deal with the pandemic into the future. And I think that should be not only transparent as it is here in Scotland, but transparent across the rest of the UK.
Well, indeed, as you say, that is the purpose, very much the purpose of the COVID inquiries. The headlines that they generated along the way are a consequence of some of the evidence, I suppose. Right, let's move away from that and move on to energy. That's